Alright, so today I'm going to show you a quick, easy way to simplify fractions. When you're adding and subtracting fractions, a lot of times you will get fractions that are unsimplified, and you will always need to put fractions in their simplest form to get the correct answer from now on until you are done with school. The method I'm going to show you is a fast, easy way to do that, and that keeps all your numbers organized in a nice, neat way. The important thing to remember when you're doing the cake method, which is the method we're going to be doing, is that your numerator's on top, your denominator's on bottom, and when you're making a cake, your numerator always goes first and your denominator always goes second. When you're simplifying a fraction, what you're really doing is dividing both the numerator and the denominator by the same number so that they are getting smaller proportionately and at the same time. So the number you divide them by, both numbers have to be divisible by it. So when you're making a cake, you take the numerator, you put it first, you put your denominator second, and then you put a box around them. Now you want to find a number that you can divide both of these numbers by. I like to start with the numerator, and I ask myself, what two numbers can I multiply together to give me a 3? So I know 3 times 1 will give me a 3, and that's the only combination of numbers that I can put together to get a 3. So I'm going to see if I can use a 3 on a 9. And I know 3 times 3 will give me a 9. So I'm going to use my 3 out here to the side. 3 will go into 3 one time, 3 will go into 9 3 times, and I now have my new fraction, 1/3. So 3/9 equals 1/3. Those are equivalent fractions. And 1/3 is the simplest form of 3/9. To check my answer, or one way to check your answer, is you can do cross products. You may remember it called the butterfly method from when you were in 4th grade last year. So I multiply 9 times 1, which gives me a 9, and 3 times 3, which also gives me a 9. Those are equal, so I know I have equivalent fractions, and this is the smallest version of that fraction, so I am done. And 1/3 is my answer. So again, with this fraction, 4/12, I'm going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to put the numerator first and the denominator second. So I put 4/12. And now I want to find a number that I can divide them both by. I start with the numerator, 4. And I ask myself, what numbers multiply together to give me a 4? Well, I know 1 times 4, 2 times 2 will also give me a 4. I look at this denominator, or the second number on my cake, and it's a 12. It's an even number, so I know if 4 is even and 12 is even, I can automatically divide them both by 2. So I'm going to use a 2 out here to the side. 2 will go into a 4 2 times. 2 will go into a 12 6 times. Now, this is an equivalent fraction to 4/12, but it's not the simplest form. And I know it's not the simplest form because these numbers are both even. So I'm going to put another box around them, and I'm going to put a 2 out here to the side because I know 2 times 1 equals 2, and I know 2 times 3 equals 6. So I can divide both of those numbers by 2. So 2 goes into 2 one time, 2 goes into 6 3 times. And again, I ended up with 1/3 for my simplified form of 4/12. So my answer is 1/3. To check it, 12 times 1 is 12. 4 times 3 is 12. Those are equivalent fractions. I have a 1 for a numerator, so it's the smallest that fraction is going to get. So I know it's the simplest form and it's equivalent, so 1/3 is my answer. You're not always going to get 1 for your numerator when you're simplifying fractions. Sometimes it will be, well, it can be any number depending on what the denominator is. But a good rule of thumb is if you get a 1 for your numerator, you are done with that fraction. All right. So now we're going to do 4 20ths. Numerator first, denominator second. I want to know what can I divide both these numbers by. So 4 times 1 equals 4. 2 times 2 equals 4. What can I use on a 20? Well, 20 is even, 4 is even. So again, I know I can use a 2. 2 will go into 4 2 times. 2 will go into 20 10 times. I'm going to forget about all these numbers up above it. I'm going to forget about all those numbers up above it, and I'm going to make another layer of my cake, and I'm going to ask myself, what can I divide 2 and 10 by? Well, I know they're both even, so I can use a 2. 2 will go into 2 1 time, 2 will go into 10 5 times. Again, I got a 1 for a numerator, so 1/5. And I can check my answers. Cross product, 20 times 1, 20. 5 times 4, 20. They're equal fractions or equivalent fractions. I've got a 1 for a numerator, so it's the simplest form for sure. And my answer is going to be 1/5. Now this last one, we're not going to get a 1 for numerator. I'm going to put a 10 and a 15 into a cake. What number can I divide 10 and 15 by? Well, I know 10 is 2 times 5, 10 times 1. So I can look at 2. I can use a 2 on a 10, but can I use a 2 on a 15? I cannot. Well, I can use a 5 on a 10, and I can use a 5 on a 15, so I'm going to use a 5 to divide these both by. 5 will go into 10 2 times. 5 will go into 15 3 times. And my new fraction is going to be 2/3. I cannot simplify 2/3 any further. There's only a difference of 1 between the numerator and the denominator, so that's the simplest form that fraction can be. Also, there's nothing I can divide a 2 and a 3 both evenly by. So then I do my cross products to see if I got equivalent fractions. 15 times 2 is 30. 3 times 10 is 30.